Okay. So we are in Kingfisher Sprint 2. The sprint is 3 weeks long. It'll start today and end on April 28th. As we look at the schedule, overall schedule, we got through ONS, thank goodness, and now we're in Sprint 2. As part of Kingfisher, we're looking at 4 sprints, and so we're targeting a May 31st release. So keep in mind, we've got this sprint, and then the next sprint, which is 2 weeks long, that gets us to feature freeze. So not a lot of runway work-wise. From a prioritization standpoint, in terms of the platform, there's a couple of things we should keep in mind as we head into this sprint. So cord feature freeze is on 4/21. There is an outstanding HA issue that SARF has reported. We should look at trying to get that fixed with a new version of 1.8.x. So getting a Docker image out for that version so that it can be integrated on the cord side before feature freeze would be good. Performance white paper, it's something that we plan to release as part of Kingfisher. I think the QA team has been looking at it. There are some flow objective issues in terms of performance. So those should be prioritized in Kingfisher. In talking with Sujitra, for sure we need someone to start taking a look at the issue, because it's not clear what's causing the performance issue. So minimally, we need to have an investigation spike in this sprint to understand what the issues are and whether that ends up creating additional stories that need to be tackled as part of this sprint and next sprint. Ideally, we'd like to get this addressed within this sprint so that the QA team can continue with the performance testing as part of the next sprint so that they can get the white paper out in time for this release. The other thing to note is Garrett commits should have Jira tickets associated with them. I think there was a community member who had noted that there were a bunch of Garrett commits without Jira tickets, and so they were wondering whether they actually needed to submit any stories. The preference for any issues or bugs is that Jira tickets are submitted. I understand there's some amount of overhead, but if they can do that, that would make tracking things much easier. And then have those Jira ticket numbers associated with the Garrett commits. And then the other thing that we plan to add in this sprint is, as part of the sprint review in the template, I want to make sure that we include a retrospective item in there per scrum in terms of kind of the impacts to burn down. If we were to look at kind of the burn down charts for the various scrums, it's been really scary and doesn't quite go down. So let's make sure that we understand what's causing it. For example, was it ONS? Are there other things that are causing us to, be too optimistic? So let's just make sure we do that retrospective, and then later on, what we'll do as part of the release is a full retrospective, and then cascade that upwards so that we get some of this addressed. And then, as always, note your dependencies and blockers as you go through your items so that we can make sure that folks understand if they're needed to, either do code reviews or other things. This way we have a better handle on if these stories have a chance of succeeding in this sprint. Okay, so let's move on to the Scrum board if no one has any questions or comments about what we've just talked about. Okay, so onto the Scrum board. So for platform, we've got a bunch of feature or QA items. So Sujitra or John, did one of you want to go through this?
Sure. So I guess these aren't quite in order. I just threw things in. But the first one, we created a document of OpenFlow 1.5 features. Right now it's in the Google Doc. So the plan for that is to share it amongst the lab, and then once we have kind of everyone's comments, we'll throw it up on the wiki. And that one's pretty much already done. We just need to review it and then transfer it to the wiki. The next one is kind of a refactoring of two of our tests that we have right now. So the configuration will be in JSON files instead of in the test. The one after that is creating a test specifically for the resource subsystem. So we're already using some of that inherently through intents, but this one will focus specifically on that store. Then creating system tests for the distributed queue API, working on Sarov's bug. We need to refactor the intent reroute test as part of the white paper, white paper. Yeah, I don't know what the last one.
So this issue yesterday. These other two and you're overloading.
Okay, so from a prioritization standpoint, we've got the ONOS HA cluster issue.
Yeah, I think that seems about right. Maybe the refactor in intent reroute test should be higher, but yeah.
Okay.
All the memory on Jira is gone.
This is, sorry? So this is something reported by Andrea. He said it was going to be handled by someone from the community, and it's related to NetConf. Andrea said he couldn't join us, but there were a couple of things, and he said they're mostly complete. One was going to be owned by him and one by a community member. Are we done with platform? Any other items there? Okay, I assume as the HA issues get resolved, a 1.8 release will be generated. And so I assume, Ray, you'll take care of that. And then for the GUI brigade, Simon?
Yeah, so I have to apologize. I didn't get my Jira tickets in. I was hoping to do that this morning, but I got planned meetings. Anyway, I can tell you off the top of my head that basically this coming sprint is getting the region-aware topology view to the point where we can kind of tie a bow on it in terms of actually enabling it permanently in the navigation view. There's some work that we need to do with scripting the positions of nodes on the peer region nodes. And then the other piece that we need to look at is essentially facilitating a developer API to be able to request the highlighting of links with information. For example, it might be packets per second or whatever, basically traffic load, so that can be projected up onto the links in the new UI. So those are the kind of the three items that we have, as well as there's also one here about retrofitting these line scaling, the icon scaling to the classic topology view, so that as you zoom in, the actual node icons stay at a constant size. And that work will be split between myself and Stephen.
Okay. So I think the dark theme is back in, right? And then by the end of this sprint, we're looking at the experimental future for the new topology being exposed to the public.
Exposed to the public and at least stable enough that people can start playing with it. Yeah.
Okay, that would be good. Thanks, Simon. For network virtualization, Yunsun?
So in this sprint, we will focus on to remove and lead of these logical defects, such as some block packets to distributing the to distribute packets to between the each virtual network, or also we plan to make tunnel operations for end-to-end virtual network. And also we found that the legacy part of legacy code, we have some incompleted the intent operations for virtual network. Is just relay intent operation, virtual intent operation to physical network without the translation. I mean the mapping. So we will focus on the internal performance and also remove the bugs in this sprint. And also at the last 5 items from the 5.5.7.3 to 5.9.8.8 is already, we think we already committed the code to get it, but I think we can close it, but I don't have any authorities to close it except my ticket. Yeah.
Which ones?
From 5.5.7.3.
Mm-hmm.
No, one more upper one. 5.4.5.2 from 5.9.8.8. Yeah, that's the 6th. Yeah, 6th. The ticket should be closed.
But you can't close them?
Sorry?
You're not able to close them?
I can do that. For my things, I can do that, but for others ticket, I can close it.
Okay, can you work with the brigade members to close them?
Yeah, we have today, after this meeting, we have the brigade scrum, so I will ask to them to close the ticket.
Okay. All right. Let's just shuffle it around a little. And then dynamic config, I haven't seen anything from Patrick, so I'll ping him and see where they're at. So deployment, Luca?
Yeah. So I think, well, Jordan told me today, I don't know if Jordan is online, but he's working on the performance issues for the research manager. So we should be at quite a good point with that, and I guess the plan is to introduce very soon also new primitives to be able to do transactional updates. So at that point, hopefully, I shouldn't have any more concurrency problems, trying to allocate the bandwidth from multiple ONOS instances or multiple threads in that framework. So I should be able to do also the 5870, so bandwidth allocation in VPLS. I know Pierre is moving somehow forward with the meters design, to integrate meters in the intent framework. I know he needs help in review the documents he shared. I guess the plan is at some point, if we want to receive reviews, we'll move forward and we'll just do it in the way we feel it is good to do.
Do we need to bring it up on a TST call?
Yeah, I suggested him to do that on the mailing list. So, I mean, he has the ownership of it, so I guess it's really up to him. But yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, well, kind of worst case scenario, we will present it there, or we'll move forward. Anyway, it's in progress. From 5934 to 6043, all those things are in Garrett under review. We just need reviews. So if you have any chance to help, we should all done with that. And then 6016, well, do you want to talk about that? Well, 6016, the installer.
Oh, yes, it's under review. Yeah, now it's under review, so, also the document is, sent to the, notes from BK unit. Yeah, I think that's it.
So code is ready to be reviewed. If you need some more information, there's a document that he already shared. So basically it's done on our side for now. VPLS refactoring is still a draft, but we might need help. I guess we can do internal reviews for that. We should be fine with that. But anyway, it's in progress. 6033 is something Pierre is working on, was already working on in the previous sprint. So I guess it's almost done, but I put it there just because it was in the sprint before. So I think he's at a good stage now. That's it.
Are you guys blocked on reviews?
Well, I think we really need reviews for, especially for EE batches. He's touching, as I said today at the sprint, he's touching very important pieces, I think, non-trivial pieces of the code. And the patches are becoming big and quite a lot. So it's really time for us to get some reviews.
Who do you need to do the reviews?
What?
Who do you need to do the reviews?
Oh, well, Brian for sure. And Thomas, I mean, whoever feels confident with the intent framework in general. You know, I'll try to involve also Pierre, but he's already working as well on another bunch of things for the brigade. So might be easy, might be difficult, who knows. But I'd like to have some reviews from people from the TST here internally as well. So.
Okay. And we'd like to welcome Yuta to the TST, so I'm sure he can help out.
Yeah, and you as well. Poor guy.
Okay. Thanks, Luca. And then Packet Optical, Marco Yuta?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So the first two tickets, I kind of tried to prioritize them, but they're kind of out of order. The first two really are all the bugs and things we've added for ONS and that we want to merge, well, upstream, if you want to call it like that. Make sure we don't lose it, and highest priority, otherwise we'll forget.
Those are in 1.8 currently?
Master, so.
Okay, that's fine. Master's actually.
We didn't, yeah, I don't know exactly when we froze, but
okay.
About
We'll figure it out.
3 ago, give or take. And then we started cherry picking. So it's a little bit, you know, it takes some dedication to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Then one has to do with the application configuration for netconf, kind of a restructuring of the key values or key value representation and the config. Then one has to do with UI. I'm trying to read, sorry, it's a little, I don't know what, we tried to set up connection 66236, I don't know what that is. So that one I can't say. Then there's, yeah, it's okay. Then there's two, but the shortest path. that we discovered a bug and basically two bugs really. Something's wrong. I don't think anyone is using it, but we are, and it turns out it's not perfect. Then another one is again something we've learned doing ONS when working with actual equipment. Netconf, the async notification mechanism. Devices don't always support the whole spec, and we don't deal with that properly in the control plane. And then the last one, well, there's an null pointer exception that we'll fix, or probably it's already gone. And the last one has to do with overloaded, so we'll start consuming the dynamic config stuff starting tomorrow. Yes, very exciting. I'm sure the mailing list will become flooded with all my requests. But that's about it. It comes out to an estimate about 30 points, give or take. Well, doesn't know.
Okay. Thanks, Mark. And then Hinson has added a bunch of stories. She noted that they plan to finish implementing OVS-NAT and connection tracking. And then this will enable them to refactor router gateway and floating IP implementation in OpenStack networking. They're adding support for VLAN mode. They think they can get basic switching and routing implementation done within this sprint, and then a few other various things like adding CLI documentation. Northbound?
So do you want to talk about
so
improvements?
We have two, I guess, stories that are almost done. We just need to review and merge. One is testing bandwidth allocation for intents, and then the other one is increasing the stability of the func intent test, and that's pretty much done. There's just like one or two minor things we need to change, but those were mostly done last sprint.
Okay. So as I mentioned here, there's another patch that E sent in some time ago. This is one of the patches I was asking to look at, which is a new compiler for flow objectives. And the other one is more related to what I was mentioning always before. It's another way of looking at that, basically. They're important in both the brigade, but it's about the update semantic and the new APIs that we want to bring in. That show is taking care of that. Yeah, we will move it.
We can't hear on the phone.
Huh?
We couldn't hear on the phone if there were comments.
No, the only comment is that we had a story in the deployment brigade that should be probably moved to the northbound brigade, but we will do that.
Okay, I'll start the sprint end of the day today, so if you guys can go through and make kind of final updates.
Yeah.
I can go through and shuffle the stories to be in priority order too. gRPC, I don't see anything, but I think Aaron was going to start some of that work post ONS because he's working on some dynamic config stuff for ONS. Build and package infrastructure, I believe they were going to do a get together in a couple weeks, and so they may not be ready to really get started on this yet.
There'll be a work week in a couple weeks, and so that's going to consume a large portion of time, but hopefully they'll join the sprint process after that.
Okay, thanks, Brian. There was I may have missed it, the Sugitra, the flow objective issue?
Yeah, so can you bring that up, please? 181. Yeah, so this is the one which is required as part of the white paper, and we need a fix. Earlier, when we talked with Thomas, Thomas mentioned that he would help us, like that we need a fix for this. So we were not sure like when this is going to be put in. So just wanted to bring this up here so we can plan accordingly whether we want to investigate it this spring and or investigate and have the fix in the spring. So we have enough time to test and then record the results appropriately. So, and also who would look into it? Is it just Thomas or?
This does seem like a big deal. This is a showstopper, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like.
Thomas, are you still on?
Yes, I am. I was muted. I wasn't sure if this was this question for me, Suchitra.
Yeah, I think earlier I thought you mentioned that you already looked at it or you're going to look at it. This is the flow objective intent performance issue.
Yeah, no, I wasn't sorry. If I implied that, I didn't mean to imply that. I thought somebody needed to take a look at it.
Okay, so we still need to investigate it then, what the issue is.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I would expect lessened performance from flow rules because there's after all more computation and more processing being done. But as to why it is so significantly lower, I think that needs to get investigated.
Okay. Yeah, we are just concerned because if we fix this issue, then we need to run couple times our regression test so we can get a better results. And if there are any issues that we are going to hit, we can still regress further, fix and then regress further. So this is something that we would need it in order to release white paper. Otherwise, we might have to put a disclaimer against this test.
Yeah, well, so if you don't have an answer for it, then I would suggest leaving it out of the white paper for right now.
Okay.
Otherwise it's going to again cause us really more work by having to address the questions that are going to come out of it. So I thought it would be useful to have in a performance white paper, but if you don't have time to put closure on it, then you can just always postpone it for another edition of the paper.
This is a regression, I assume, compared to.
It's not really a regression because we never measured flow objective performance.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's a new metric.
But presumably there's tests for this,
Yeah.
and we have some results, and it's gotten worse recently, or it's always been bad?
When regarding the history, when was this first? Maybe your month.
So it's not a regression, it's that from the start.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it's an ongoing issue then.
But so as soon as we introduced flow objectives, you saw this?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Well, that's a problem.
Can we prioritize it?
Yeah.
It's a pretty central part of our system, right?
Yeah.
I mean, intent.
I mean,
And on this doesn't result in intent.
Right.
Oh, not all intent.
This is a feature that's turned off by default.
Oh.
We implemented something and it's not as fast as we want it to be. This is not like, oh my God, we used to do 1 million, now we do 100.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
never behaved the way we want it to. So the question is, who wants to look into that?
Well, I mean, I guess almost everyone today uses flow objectives. Everyone
Yeah.
uses it.
I thought that was the main use case, rather than using flow rules.
Which best place to look at it?
Sounds like there's an interesting disconnect here because it's like something that we deprioritize, but it seems to be something that,
Important.
that
Yeah, I
people
know.
use and people depend on a lot in practice.
Yeah.
But maybe we deprioritize it because it's just too hard and we don't know how to fix it.
So I think the ask. So are we agreed that the ask is to do some sort of investigation to understand the performance, right? And this is being asked of the development team.
Yeah, at least investigate and then see.
So yeah, so from a priority standpoint, is there someone that can take this on in this sprint?
I can look at it.
Sorry, who?
Jordan.
Oh. Okay. Jordan, if you can take a look at it in terms of, just even an investigation spike, that would help. And then maybe the next sprint we can start pulling it apart into stories that can be addressed.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
And also there are two other bugs which had been carrying for a while now. And since again, this is again dependent on the white paper, so probably we need some help in order to put a proper explanation. So can you please bring up 5683, please?
Sujitra brought it up.
Yes, thanks. So this is about the intent report, and we discussed it even in the previous releases. So now our question is like, what do we put in the white paper when we are showing these results? Because for this particular test, we have like a 25% of drop in the performance.
So I have a question. Looking in the past about, so the general question is do we do anything more? Do you know if we do anything more?
This change was caused by resubmit pending intent with the same timestamp.
Oh, Brian.
And probably also some fix after that.
Brian, do you remember the timeout thing? The timing thing?
The
one that we were resubmitting the intent when the time was, I think that caused the regression.
Oh, we talked about this like 6 months ago, and the question is there actually a performance regression, or is there a test number problem on the first one? Because
that was my point.
Resubmitted intents that don't do any work shouldn't get counted towards our throughput. We never validated that. So.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe we might have been overcounting before by a factor of 2 or 3 or whatever the overload factor was.
So can someone work with you to review the test case and see if the original numbers were valid?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe my attitude is shifting here, but I mean, question is the performance good enough for our use cases? And I mean, yeah, sure, we had numbers that were one thing at one point, but our focus then was to get really good performance and kind of do less work per se, right? And our objective now seems to be do the appropriate amounts of work that are required for the use cases. And so are the numbers good enough? We should revisit that. I mean, yeah, maybe we have a 50% loss here, maybe we have a 400x increase in performance on the flow objective stuff, but if flow objectives are useful and they're good enough for our use cases, then does it matter? I mean, sure, we could spend another 5 months optimizing the performance and getting things down. And, maybe there's a few quick and easy wins that we can take advantage of. So I'm not trying to suggest that we don't spend a little bit of time looking into these things, but I think we need to, on some of these things, do a little bit of investigation and then decide, is it worth the effort, and just close and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, we are not bringing this up in order to improve the performance, but we agreed that.
You want to be able to justify why?
Yeah, justify it, because we are releasing the white paper after, like, it's been many releases now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and somebody who would actually look at the performances and then compare, they might see this obvious difference. So just to let the users.
Just to let them know, before we were doing X and now we're doing X, Y, Z and some other things.
Yes.
Okay,
and these are good numbers, and this is what we expect, and just want to put these kind of disclaimers.
Sure.
So just need developers' help. So we want to get the right explanation here.
Okay.
So this is the one, and then we wanted to make sure the other issue also, there is a flow burst throughput, which is 4623. It's the same explanation that is required.
Yeah.
So whom should we approach and then get the information?
Yeah, I mean, sure. Okay, I mean, fine. I mean, I can help with all this performance stuff.
No,
I mean, you're right, right? The question is,
who's the best. I mean,
No,
I guess everyone here would agree that that's you. Right?
fair enough. I mean, I'm happy to help with these performance things. The question is just like,
I'm just saying.
why did like?
So Brian, I think you're saying something really, really important here, I guess, which is that we sort of need to figure out. I mean, at the end of the day, it's what really matters is the the benefit to the end users and the benefit to the use cases. And so, there is sort of, I mean, I don't quite know what the white paper motivation is, but I mean, I think the most important thing is actually, does it support the use cases? Like you say, is it good enough to enable, the deployments, for example, with flow objectives that depend on them, and to enable other things like is the performance adequate to support their use case? I think is exactly the key question to answer. So I think perhaps the white paper should reflect that, which is that these use cases require this performance and ONOS delivers it, or maybe it doesn't deliver it yet, and so we're still working on it. Seems to me like it's a reasonable answer.
It's the white paper ODL wrote 6 months ago or a year ago. It's like, ODL wrote the white paper like, yeah, our performance is crappy, but it's good enough.
Yeah. So okay, well maybe that's sensible. And I guess another thing to think about, perhaps in the context of the white paper, is consider also that, well, what its sort of purpose was. Well, maybe compare performance against Open Daylight or something, but maybe the landscape has shifted. Maybe Open Daylight's less concerned about performance and maybe even less concerned about OpenFlow. And more. They said that explicitly at ONS. They said we don't care about OpenFlow. We don't see Open Daylight as a controller platform. We see it as a next-gen NMS, and our entire focus is going to be on configuration. Which maybe is a nice way of slicing things up.
As we claim our value is HA scale and performance, right? Yes. It's been 8 releases since we said what our performance was, right? So it's pretty important, I think, that we at least say what it is now and provide some context for it. Yeah. Well, I don't think we need to debate.
Yeah, I think the answer can be simply.
It's already been decided it's a priority for this release, right? So let's help the people get it done.
I see. Sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess the idea. So what you're saying, Bill, as I understand it, is basically the old information is kind of stale, and we really want to be up to date, so that I mean, apparently. I mean, I don't fully understand this, but I guess the idea is that perhaps the users of the system care about its performance and want to be able to know how well their applications will work on it, and so that's why
I'm going to ask you a question. So, how many times does somebody out there say what our performance is and they're wrong and you feel correct?
Yeah, a lot of many.
Right?
Always.
Okay. So we have to let the community know how to measure performance, what our performance is, why this is the right way to measure it, so that other people aren't claiming what our performance is and being wrong about it.
I see. What's the what is the, I guess the importance, I guess, of performance?
I'm not understanding something. Why are we fighting against it? What's wrong here?
I mean, I was just suggesting maybe the white paper is answering the wrong question, but you're saying it's answering the right question.
This isn't the time to debate it. We agreed at the beginning of the sprint. We needed it. So.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I was probably in that meeting. So I guess the question is, maybe that was the wrong decision and you want to revisit it, but maybe not. I mean, it seems to.
No, I want to find out how we get help to writing the white paper so that we can get it done.
Is there pretty much consensus that this white paper is in fact the right thing, and that these performance numbers are things we want to report, and the only thing we need to do is to either justify the existing numbers or try to improve them if they're not good enough?
Well, I guess we just need but offline.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to understand this a bit. I'm a little bit out of the loop.
I mean, I think it's clear that if one of our, key differentiator in high performance is, I mean, somehow we need to show we have somehow some performances, right? Some numbers. Then I guess the only thing we can discuss offline outside the meeting could be the agreement around what is a good performance or a bad performance and why, right? So because maybe we just say We do 3,000 million flows per second, but everything at the time was disabled with the wrong use case. And anyway, if it's 500,000 is good enough, and we don't even have to bother to say we do again 1 million. That's fine. I'm just saying we should write, I think we can all agree on this, that we should write a piece of paper saying, now we can do 1 million flows per second. That's it, right? It's like buying a Ferrari, you need to say this goes 200 k per hour instead of 60, right? Because it's a key differentiator of the car.
What's the additional information that you're missing that you need in order to, or what, I guess what's the blocking item on writing the white paper, and when does it have to be delivered?
That is by the end of Kingfisher, we have to release it.
Okay, so you're saying
Yes.
that's kind of that's the goal. The goal is that the paper and the paper
and the blocker is understanding why there have been significant regressions since February 2015.
So the differences, and then just give the right explanations accordingly. And like if we have any improvements that we want to make and we could make for some of the areas, then we could fix them. But some of the bugs were already areas. We are recording site reviews. And likewise, we also had updated one or two, one of the test cases. The way we were actually recording the results were incorrect. So, and then some of them we were updating it, note, and explain them appropriately. And there was a new test that we had created, so we added that as well, which was not there in the previous release. Previous white paper. So the idea was just to make sure that we have the right things and whatever we are doing, and we are accordingly putting the numbers correctly. So everybody can know. And we haven't updated the white paper since the release Blackboard. There's no such paper. There were too many releases after that. That's the goal.
It seems that it seems that it's probably worthwhile updating it and perhaps explaining any changes, right?
So is there a name I can put on this one to help out the QA team?
Sorry, what was that?
Is there a name I can put on this story?
Sorry?
Is there a name? Who's
His
gonna help?
name?
Maybe assign it to me. I'm kind of looking into this, but at some point I might need help from Brian.
So would it be?
This is you. You want?
Yeah. You reported that.
Yeah. Yeah. You kind of assign that to me. This is you want.
But you would.
I think we might translate just in an hour discussion between you two and not in a 5 months development improvement stuff, right? Just that.
Yeah, nothing an hour, so.
Okay, so you're going to take the lead and then work with Brian or whoever to get an explanation for this. Yeah. Is that what I'm hearing? Sorry, you guys are coming across kind of faint.
It seems like,
Yeah, that's what he said.
It definitely might need. I could imagine you might need help from multiple people, and hopefully they can collaborate on it. But also, I definitely don't. I think it would be bad to just have one person be, stuck. Oh, you need to fix the performance. That puts a lot of pressure on just one person. So hopefully multiple people can help out.
And I think there was one more, Sujitra.
Yes, that is 4623. You can just assign it to you again. 4623.
Yes. The subtask.
So, the problem here is this regression was caused by a cryo upgrade, so I'm not sure if we can have a fix for it or we don't, because since we never knew this was caused by the cryo problem.
Just that you don't see it here, but they see. We have another meeting. Sorry, guys. Go ahead.
So I think I don't know. So my need more help from the developers because I don't know how to proceed.
So I think part of the problem is when these regressions happen, we kind of investigate very briefly. We kind of know what's wrong, but then we don't document it anywhere, and we say, oh, it happened because we're doing something useful or whatever. We're not going to address it now, and 2 years later, no one remembers what happened. Yeah, and I think part of the problem is we have, in-person discussions, and that never gets translated anywhere.
So here we need to document why some of these issues are there.
I remember we had a discussion about this. I just don't remember the details.
Do you remember who the discussion was with?
I thought it was Jono, but apparently he doesn't remember this at all.
I personally had this discussion with Jono at least once, maybe twice, but I mean, it's one of these things. It's like you asked me what I did last week, and I have a hard time remembering. So remembering the details of these discussions, it can be tricky. Yeah. So.
Okay, so what are our plans for this one?
Well, the reason we upgraded Cryo here was because of serialization problems with generics.
Java 1.8 stuff.
Yeah, Java 1.8 and generics. So, I mean, the upgrade was needed because it fixed functionality, like the startup and message passing bugs. And so we may have inherited some additional stuff from Cryo. We could possibly look at Cryo and, maybe potentially use fewer generics and, simpler classes and stuff that are easier or faster to serialize. But, I don't know. This would probably require some work to figure out sort of the root cause of. Could also be we have more complicated objects now, more parameters and flow rules, or passing more class objects in through there. But the other question here is, when we move to solve ISSU, are we still using Cryo for east-west communication serialization? Are we using Cryo in a different way? Are we using simpler objects? Are we using a different serialization format? So this is something that
solve ISSU.
In-service software upgrades.
Oh, I see.
The ability to run slightly different versions of ONOS.
Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, when we tackle that, this sort of that might be the right moment to think about the Cryo change. I think we don't worry about this one. The thing is, I don't know. Yeah, we could ask someone to take a look at it. We could ask Jono or Charles or someone to look at the causes of this. But maybe we should look up like Cryo, and if Cryo had performance regressions across versions, or if they have descriptions of performance penalties or caveats for using certain types of objects.
Yeah, I mean, I could look into it, but I have to agree that this is probably something that's going to be revisited with upgrades. I mean, Cryo is not very good at that. So.
Yeah.
So do you want to agree to defer to be addressed as part of ISSU?
So I think the comment here is, okay, we lost a significant chunk of performance. We were able to dive in and attribute most or all of the performance penalty to a newer version of Cryo, which was required for Java 8 and generic support. And we're going to readdress Cryo as our serialization technology when we do in-service software upgrade support. I think, well, yeah, it's kind of a crappy answer, and it kind of sucks that we lost so much performance, but, I don't know. Functionality first, right?
Yeah. So you're saying you recommend deferring it until the point where we add it again as part of this
other effort. Yeah, we have a big ticket item on the roadmap, and any time spent addressing Cryo specifically now, unless we choose to use Cryo when we take on in-service software upgrades, which we've talked about debating, or we've debated as a possibility.
Yeah.
It's just going to be time wasted.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I didn't explicitly do any of the legwork to specifically pinpoint this regression. So that's just what I vaguely remember from the various discussions that we had.
Yeah. I mean, I think at the time we decided, 1 million flows per second, whatever it was good enough. And so we didn't need to address it at the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think for this one, we're recommending to defer. Let's go ahead and go with that. Let's focus on the other two issues that were assigned. And then we're at 4 o'clock, which is the longest we've actually ever gone with one of these planning sessions. So thanks, everyone, unless there are any additional questions or comments. And then I will start the sprints at 5 p.m. So for folks who need to adjust theirs, please go ahead and do it. Otherwise, this may impact your burn down later. Okay? Thanks.